So, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is officially out. People online have actually gotten the chance to watch the entire show. These are people who are given access to watch it in its entirety so that when reviews and embargoes are lifted, they are allowed to go ahead and review the entire show and be able to recommend it or not recommend it. In my case, I'm not popular enough to do that, so I had to wait till January 29th, which is right now, today, to watch the first 2 episodes that have initially dropped on the show. You know, just really quick, when this trailer dropped, you know, a lot of people were criticizing the animation, the way this looked, the way the story sounded. Trailers are supposed to be an invitation for you to decide whether you want to watch it or not and give you a tone of what this show is going to be about, right? That's the whole point of trailers. And movies, TV shows, whatever you want, even video games, the point of trailers is to open up that invitation for you to decide whether you want to watch or enjoy the product that is being advertised to you. In this situation, many fans were already skeptical about the first trailer that dropped for this show. Now, it came out and it was very specific. Without getting too much into it, you know, the trailer gives us a nice couple of shots of what this animation style is going to be. There's a couple of jokes that are thrown in there, and when I saw this joke specifically, I already had like probably one of the worst expectations of the show, because it felt like one of those, I'm trying so hard to be funny, but I'm not going to be too funny kind of jokes, where it's like the writers think this was funny, but then when you actually see it, it's not funny.
Deuces. Parker out.
It's what adults think awkward kids say, if that makes sense. So a lot of that criticism was already starting to build up for me, so I'm only going to be personalizing everything and try not to include the fans' opinions and just have my own personal opinion to this. And given on this little joke and other little jokes in the trailer, I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm still excited, right? We haven't had an actual Spider-Man show in a while, so I'm like, I'll give it a shot. Another thing that kind of bugged me in the trailer was New York, how empty it looked. It looks so empty, and I hate that. You know, MCU movies do this as well. Sometimes they feel like so empty, and it just doesn't give off the New York vibes. Luckily, when Sam Raimi directed Doctor Strange 2, man, New York looks so beautiful. It looks so lively, and New York felt like a setting. He does that with the Raimi movies. It just feels good, right? This New York doesn't feel that way. At least in the trailer it didn't. But I digress. Let's talk about episode 1. So Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man episode 1 actually starts us off with Peter getting ready for school. As he's getting ready, you know, he's a little late, he's running late, and on his way to school, he stops to open up his backpack. This heroic music starts playing as he's opening up his backpack, you know, to let us know that, okay, he's running late, he's about to start flipping on the way to school, and he doesn't have a Spider-Man suit in there. It's actually a sandwich that he pulls out. Very funny Marvel. I laughed so hard. It was one of the funniest jokes I've seen. Okay, I'm being a little mean. However, he pulls out this backpack, he pulls out this sandwich, and Aunt May happens to show up, which I don't know what this design is, man. She looks so creepy to me. Why did they design her like that? Why? That is scary. Like, I know they're trying to make her look like an older but younger version of Aunt May, like the Marissa Tomei version, but this just looks scary to me. I had to call my therapist right after I saw that. I was just scared. I was terrified. And then, you know, already at the opening of the show, we see a lot of little Marvel Easter eggs. Aunt May's little thing hanging from the car. Why am I forgetting what they're called? What are they called, actually? What the hell? Well, she has a little thing hanging that's actually Iron Man flying. So I think that's pretty nice. Nice little nod that this is in the Marvel Universe. Actually, another little nod that happens in this opening sequence, Doctor Strange shows up. And when he shows up, they actually play the MCU version theme of Doctor Strange.
Where do you think you're going?
Oh my gosh.
So I thought that was pretty sick, because, you know, there's always like a universal theme to something. The Avengers have their own theme, Spider-Man has his own theme, and then Doctor Strange's theme has now become the one for the MCU. So I think that was pretty sick. But as Doctor Strange shows up, so does a symbiote. So we're already going just full balls in. Like, the symbiote is here, Doctor Strange is here, MCU or at least Marvel references, but it's like loosely kind of in the MCU, but kind of not really, like its own version of the MCU. And then as the symbiote and Doctor Strange are fighting, a spider comes out of the portal from which Doctor Strange and the symbiote are fighting, which already pissed me off. Okay, maybe not pissed off, because it's just, at the end of the day, it's just a TV show, and I'm not gonna let this like ruin my day or whatever. But I just kind of like, you know, part of Peter's personality and part of Spider-Man's story, always felt like anyone could have become Spider-Man, right? It was on a field trip, it happened on accident, and it felt smooth. Like the way he becomes Spider-Man, it doesn't, there's not just a spider that bites him, it's a spider that got hit with radioactivity and then it bit him. Right here, it just feels like forced, if that makes sense. I know this is kind of a weak argument when I'm not like properly supporting it, but it just doesn't feel natural. And the way it works in the comics, the way it's worked in film, it always felt natural. You know, in The Amazing Spider-Man, Peter breaks into Oscorp, gets bit by a spider, where the spiders were already being genetically played with, whatever. In the Raimi trilogy, he got bit by a radioactive spider where they already were, right? Like they were created and Peter just happened to be wrong place, wrong time. It happened by fate, you know, by accident, smoothness. Right here, it just feels like there was this big fight and it's like same but different, right? Like it does happen by chance. Peter is in the way. He gets bit by a spider, but why did the spider have to come through a magical portal? Why? And then there's a little bit where the spider actually crawls on someone else's backpack, hinting that maybe someone else might get bit. Could be Miles, probably not because Miles is younger. Could be Silk, right? In the comics later on, they revealed that Silk was actually bitten by that spider the same day Peter was, so we'll see what happens there. But then finally, the intro rolls. The lyrics feels like it was made by executives who wanted to sound cool. It sounds all right. I mean, it's pretty cool. I like the fact that they remixed the 60s theme in it. That's awesome. And then finally, a few months later, they show the same opening sequence they did at the beginning, but now Peter has spider powers. So he swings his way to school now. Awesome. And then here's our first look at modern Spider-Man, right? There's this guy streaming who was ready to jump Harry. Peter comes in and saves the day as Spider-Man, saves Harry. And now we're seeing Spider-Man kind of streaming through the other guy's platform, which I think it's kind of cute, kind of wholesome. I hate how dorky they make Spider-Man. I'm sorry. I don't like a dorky Spider-Man anymore. I feel like we've gotten enough of that. And I don't care if he's a teenager. Well, no, there's a lot of arguments right now saying like Spider-Man should be an adult, which I agree with because we've already seen enough of teenage Spider-Man. But if you're going to make teenage Spider-Man, at least make him an asshole sometimes. That makes it so much funnier. I feel like, yeah, dorky Spider-Man, oh, I'm shy, I don't know how to use my powers. Cool, whatever. But just be an asshole sometimes, you know? I feel like we need an asshole Spider-Man. Not like a full jerk, but just like, he's an ass sometimes. He's human. He's a kid. He's a teen. Teenagers are assholes sometimes. And Spider-Man should be too if he's fighting crime. Also, we meet Nico, who is going to be at least it seems here, Peter Parker's best friend. There's another character that's introduced, Pearl, who apparently Peter has had a crush on forever. When Peter's ready to ask this girl out, Lonnie comes in and actually asks her out on a date. It seems like they start dating. And if that name sounds familiar, Lonnie is Tombstone, Lonnie Lincoln. Wow, I can't phrase my words today. Lonnie Lincoln. So, you know, now we're introduced to Tombstone, who's not yet Tombstone. He's a teenager here, and it seems the way they're setting it up, this I did like about the show. The way they set up Lonnie was that he's going home. There's a little bit of like racial issues that come up. You know, Lonnie's on the train, and this woman kind of pulls her kid away because of the color of his skin, and then the cops are slowly kind of like eyeing on him, which I so far like because we're seeing the struggles of Lonnie, right? We're seeing how he is living in this borough of New York, how he's not really enjoying it, but he still has a positive attitude. He comes home happy, he goes to school happy, but when he's seeing these things around him, it upsets him. So it's already a nice little setup for him to become Tombstone. I think it's good so far. I haven't had any issues with this character yet, so far I love that. That so far is pretty good. Harry, on the other hand, who we briefly met, has no appearance after that. At least from what I remember. He kind of shows up then and that's about it. In episode 2, he doesn't show up at all. But at least we're introduced to Harry. It doesn't seem like Peter and Harry are going to be best friends anytime soon. But that's where we're at right now. And then the first episode ends with a scene from Civil War, kind of. So actually, there's a scene where he's eating a piece of pizza and he sees a DVD player on a garbage can. And as he's grabbing it, it immediately clicks in my head and I'm like, that's Civil War. That is literally Civil War. And as soon as I'm thinking that and saying that out loud, Left Hand Free by Alt J kicks in and then we see the scene from Civil War. But instead of Tony Stark actually waiting for him, it's Norman Osborn. And sure enough, there was a crazy car parked outside, like literally down to the last detail. It was exactly like Civil War, but now Norman Osborn is the one waiting for him. I feel like this is the episode that they're trying to get people hooked on. Like this is the pilot episode for everyone. And while I didn't really like much of the jokes, I still feel like this set up an opportunity to do something different. So far I'm enjoying that. I really enjoyed episode 1. I think it's good. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's bad. I just think it's good. Like it's developing its own thing, and we're only gonna see where it goes from there. So episode 2 drops, picks up exactly where we left the last episode, which is Norman Osborn in Peter's house, in Peter's apartment. And I'm thinking this whole time that Norman's going to tell him, thank you for saving my son. Basically what Tony did, at like drag him into his room and privately talk to him and say, hey, I know you're Spider-Man. This doesn't happen. Actually, Norman actually offers him a internship at Oscorp, an actual internship, not like a bullshit one from Homecoming or Civil War. Like an actual internship is offered to him. So in this episode, Peter basically goes to work at Oscorp, and we meet a Wakandan character, which I'm sorry, I just don't like it when it's forced. It's like, Oscorp, Marvel, Wakanda, it's here too. Like, I know it's in the Marvel world. I know Wakanda, so you don't have to show me every time that Wakanda exists or that Doctor Strange is here. I get it. It's fine. But once that character said that they're from Wakanda, it just kind of made me laugh a little. But then you forget about it pretty fast. And those characters are kind of there just to make sure to let Peter know that we're better than you. And it's mainly to show off a little sense of humor. I don't know if these are going to be reoccurring characters. Probably they are. If Norman's going to let him stay at Oscorp. But we also meet a different character that we've probably met before, but not in this way. And that's Dr. Connors. Not that Dr. Connors. Not that Dr. Connors either. That one. Yep, that one. So they have gendered and race swapped Dr. Connors here, which again, don't really have a big issue with it anymore. And when I say anymore, I mean like, early days of gender and race swapping characters. At this point, I don't care. Just make them look good, make him have a good story. The only gripe for me was that I really, really enjoyed Dr. Connors as his character, right? I like the whole father figure with the son thing, and that only works obviously if he's a guy. So the whole father figure and son dynamic was always one of my favorite parts about Dr. Connors, because once he goes full lizard, he doesn't care about his family until they show up, obviously. And I think in previous shows and comics, they've done a great job of showing that. But here, that's not gonna work exactly like that, right? Who knows? Maybe this Dr. Connors might be a mother figure to her own kids. That would be awesome. Hopefully they can do the same thing they did with the other Dr. Connors, and the character stays the same, except it's just swapped in terms of race and gender. So if that stays the same, I'm fine with it. Just make them have like a nice backstory. My initial thoughts on both episode 1 and 2, I'm gonna rate them together because they dropped together. So both of them combined, I give it a good 8 out of 10, right? Not the best, but not the worst either. I think 8 out of 10 is pretty high for my standards. I'm extremely picky. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I don't know if I'll be making reviews of the other episodes to come, but if you guys like it, I probably will. Those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. And remember, guys, keep on swinging. Also, let me know if you guys still want me to stream Spider-Man games. I stopped for a little bit, but I can start again. Okay,